Hi, welcome to my show, Enlifement. I want to thank you for joining me today. Oh my God, I have an awesome show. You know I'm on this healthcare mission. When I say on a healthcare mission, y'all, I am on a healthcare mission. And you know one of my missions is to help everybody understand what mental health and mental illness is. Because, you know, just because it hadn't hit you directly, it may have hit your doorstep. It could have been your mom. It could have been your dad, your children. It could have been anybody. But you know, also, I'm a life person. I like to hear it from somebody that's been there, that can help you, that can help you with aftercare. So I have a great guest, Miss Fonda Bryant, and she's going to answer a lot of questions because she has been there. So she's going to be talking from experience. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing okay. I am. Speaking of experience, I had a bad week with depression, so definitely can let your viewers in on what it's like to deal with this on an everyday basis. So thank you for having me.
So we want to just kind of back up a little bit and just tell the world who you are first.
My name is Fonda Bryant. I am a mental health advocate. I volunteer with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I sit on the state board of NAMI, North Carolina, and I am also a 23-year suicide survivor. Yeah.
So I know your story, but do you mind like just kind of elaborating a little bit?
Sure. 23 years ago on Valentine's Day, 1995, my life almost came to an end because I had undiagnosed depression. I had no idea I had it. I had been dealing with sleeping too much, not caring anymore, letting my appearance go, barely hanging on, taking care of my son, and was working at Caroline's Medical Center, and they sent me to the EAP to try to get some help, and gave me some time off. But even going to therapy, it wasn't helping because our culture has been raised to not embrace mental health, and that's one of the biggest problems I see within our culture is we don't embrace mental health. We make fun of it, or it's the pray about it, don't claim it, it'll go away, and it won't. It will get worse, and that's exactly what mine did. So on Valentine's Day 1995, I called my Aunt Kelly. We're 3 years apart. We're very close, and I told her she could have my shoes, which is one of the warning signs, giving things away, and had no idea she was going to have me involuntarily committed. And she did, and I was not happy right in front of my son, but her doing that saved my life. And when she did that, I realized I had to get out here and help other people because there's so many people that are suffering in silence, and people don't realize 90% of people who die by suicide have a mental health condition, and stigma, the shame of having it, is the #1 reason. So I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to help people like me.
And see, you know, my reasons for being on this mental health kick is totally different, you know, because like I said, you know, everybody has experienced it either directly or indirectly. Well, mine was with my loved ones. You know, I wrote a book, and it's called He Couldn't Have Me, So He Attacked My Loved Ones, Mental Illness. Because at one point he did try to attack me, but you know, I done things that I thought that I should do and I came out of it. But I know how it feels to be in a dark place, you know, just temporary. So for somebody to walk that walk every single day and not, you know, come out of it it's just terrible, you know, just from me feeling it temporary. So my children, you know, both of them have had experiences with it as well. And, you know, it's one of the things, like, you can kind of lay a foundation or a platform, but, you know, some of the things that you do, you have to kind of take control yourself. Do you agree with me?
Definitely. It's not just one thing that helps you with a mental health condition. I always tell people when I'm speaking and when people come out to me, it's more than one thing. It's if you have to take medication, it's the medication. If you have to go to therapy, you have to go to therapy. You also have to me, the biggest part of it is self-care. And that is surrounding yourself with a great support system. People who are going to understand, people who will pick up the phone. You can pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning and call somebody and say, hey, I'm going through something, and they're going to listen. Also, for me, I work out 4 times a week, and I also know what my triggers are. I know what my boundaries are, and that comes with family, because I know a lot of us, we love our families, and I love mine, but at the same token, my family can be very toxic. They can also be not very understanding, and my mom is definitely one of them. And sometimes when she calls, I'll look down and I'll say, not today. So you have to learn to put, one of the things when I was in that mental health facility, my therapist told me, she said, who do you put first, Fonda? And I said, my son, of course, he was 12. She said, no ma'am. She said, when you get on the plane and that bag drops, what do they tell you to do? Put it on your face first so you can help others. Even though that sounds easy, it's not when you've been raised in a culture of, you know, God, family first, and you kind of fall down that ladder. But when I changed that and put myself first, not in a selfish way, but where I could help other people, that is what has changed me and made me a better advocate, has made me a better mom, has made me a better friend and a better relative, because I know I have to come first. Because that day on February 14th, 1995, I could not help myself. I couldn't help anyone. So I realized that if I don't take care of me first, I can't get out here and do what I'm doing, and I can't help my son or anybody else.
So, and another thing with my experience in February as well, February 24th, I never forget it, came home to get ready to go to a TV interview. And when I walked through the door, I felt just a spirit of suicide. Like, you can tell when things have been moved around in your house and, you know, just something is not right. So I walked in my garage. I just didn't know what I was going to see. You know, I was trying to prepare my mind mentally, because the spirit was just so, you know, deep and strong. So I started going through my house. I didn't see anything in the garage. So by the time I came back out of the garage, I was in the kitchen. My daughter came around the corner, and her eyes was like about to budge out of her head. She had taken, like, I don't know how many, but one bottle was empty of pills, and she was getting ready to start on the other. And I came in. So, you know, my emergency medical kicked in. You know, I had to put mom down, and, you know, I had to take care of her. So, you know, call the paramedics. I couldn't take care of her and talk to them. I knew I could take care of her, but I needed somebody to communicate with the, you know, with the paramedics as well. So I got a neighbor to come and talk to them, you know, until they got there. But, you know, through that whole time, me being, you know, a doctor, I'm praying, you know, I'm not going to lose my daughter. You know, suicide will not take my daughter. So she got to the hospital. I mean, everything stayed stable. Her vital signs, her blood pressure was perfect. Like, she never went to that point where she was about to die. You know, but, you know, and that's another reason why I'm on this mental health mission as well, because like you say, nobody wants to talk about it, because people label you as, oh, she's crazy.
That's the first thing, yeah.
Right.
And one thing I will always tell people too, because with suicide, a lot of people think we're weak and we're selfish, because that's how I was raised. But people don't realize in that moment on February 14th, 1995, I didn't want to die, but that pain that I was feeling, because your brain is the most powerful organ in your body, and when it gets sick, it can make you do things that you normally would not do. And in that moment, I just wanted that pain to go away. I knew the damage I would do, leaving my son, leaving my family, leaving my friends, co-workers. But in that moment, that pain is so great that the only way that you see it going away is down by suicide. But that's why I tell people, my Aunt Kelly is a hero to me, because a lot of family members don't want to ruffle those feathers, like what we just had in Gaston County with Roger Self driving the car through and killing 2 of his relatives and injuring them. Well, he told his family to put the guns away. That's a warning sign. They should have taken him by the hand or went and got commitment papers to put him in the hospital, because he needed it. And if they would have done that, they would have saved those lives. So the thing is like I said, my Aunt Kelly is a hero, and to do what she did is truly agape love. She loved me because she went up against my grandmother, she went up against my mother, but she still got me that help. So I always tell people, when somebody's in a crisis, you got to do what it takes, like you just got finished saying, to get that person help. Now, did the suicide thoughts go away? I don't think they really ever go away from me, but the thing is, I know how to redirect them, and I don't, if I feel myself, which I haven't in a long time, going down that path, I know that I got that support system, picking up the phone, calling the suicide hotline number, getting in touch with somebody at NAMI. So it's different, but unfortunately, a lot of people aren't, because the suicide rate is through the roof right now. And
this is the thing. People have to use those tools. Like, I asked her, I say, now you do have a tool bag, right?
Yes, I do.
I do have a tool bag. Don't just have that tool bag and look at it sitting on your table. If you need those resources, pull that tool bag out. That's what it's there for.
It is, because suicide can come on so quickly. It can come on so fast. And the stats right now that we have in this country are alarming. Suicide is up 25% from 1999. 123 Americans die every day from suicide. 22 veterans. And if you want to really put it in perspective, for every completed suicide, there are 25 attempts. So if you do 145 times 25, it comes to 3,650 people a day that attempt.
Ms. Bryant, please.
Oh, you want me to say it again?
Yes.
Suicide is definitely on the rise, and if we don't do more to get educated and to learn the warning signs, we're going to lose a lot more people. We're losing 123 Americans a day, 22 veterans a day, and for each completed suicide, there are 25 attempts, which come to 3,650 people a day that attempt suicide. So we are truly in a crisis, and I keep telling people, if someone you know is going through something, get them help, because you have two choices. You can do nothing and you can go to a funeral, or you can get them help, and yeah, they'll be mad at you like I was mad at my Aunt Kelly, but we'll get over it and we'll be living another day. But if you do nothing, they can die. And we're losing, in the state of North Carolina, every 6 hours someone dies by suicide. And nationally, more people die by suicide than homicides and car crashes together. And in the state of North Carolina, more people die by suicide than car deaths. No, homicides, I'm sorry. So we have a lot of people dying. We got a lot of people in pain. But the biggest thing is we got to knock down the walls of stigma, where people, we should have the same empathy and compassion as people with cancer and diabetes, because I didn't ask to have a chemical imbalance. Our brains can get sick just like our heart, our lung, and our kidneys, but we can get better. But people have got to get educated, because like you said, people are saying, oh, they're crazy. The minute, if I walked in a room with people, 10 black people, and said, hey guys, I'm dealing with depression, you'd hear some whisper, she's crazy. She's crazy. Right. So we got to change the culture.
Well, sick in the head.
Yeah, we're sick in the head. But the thing is, too, it's hereditary. So we got a lot of people walking around with mental health issues that don't have a clue, because our family will talk about heart problems, diabetes, but we won't talk about bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety. And that's where those things, we got to change that, how we look at mental health.
I didn't know that there were so many different levels of, mental illness until I wrote a book and done research. And in my book, I wrote about 15, like the most common ones. But I had a doctor here talking about mental health and mental illness. And she said there's a book this thick that talks about it. So I didn't even scratch the surface in my book talking about it.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, I have taken the mental health first aid class, which is a great class, and I urge everybody to take it. It's just like CPR, but it's for mental health. Brandon Marshall, who plays in the NFL, him and his wife have been traveling the country urging people to take that class, along with Lady Gaga and her mother. It's a free 8-hour class. It teaches you about the mental health disorders, about substance abuse, how to listen to someone non-judgmentally, because see, that's a problem too. If you're in a crisis or you're going through stuff, people are like, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, or you say you need to pray. Sometimes you just need people to be quiet and just listen to you. So it teaches you how to do that non-judgmentally. And so with mental health first aid, it breaks down, it's an 8-hour class, and it breaks down the mental health disorders. Anxiety is number one. That's the number one mental health disorder. Depression is number two. Schizophrenia it's only 1% of the population that has schizophrenia. But see, I think when society looks at mental health, that's how they all look at us as, oh, they have schizophrenia, they're crazy, their hair's standing all over their head, they don't know what day it is, and that's where that stigma kicks in. So one of the things that I always tell people, there are 350 million people worldwide reported that say they have depression. 260 million people reported that have anxiety. When you're going through a mental health condition, like when my depression kicks in or my anxiety, you feel like you're by yourself. You feel like that you can't, even though I know I have friends and I know I have people, you feel like you're by yourself. And that's why I always want people to never be ashamed. And I always, when I meet people, let them know it's no shame in having a mental health condition. The shame is not getting the help you need.
Right.
So yeah.
So let's talk about what treatment was like for you.
Well, let me tell you, I had my first meeting with anybody in the mental health field was with a psychiatrist that was from India. We did not get along well because their culture, they treat women badly, they're second class, and he told me straight off the bat, you got a strong personality and things like that. So we bumped heads. So I had to deal with him while I was at the hospital in crisis. But I told him when I got out, I said, I don't want to have anything else to do with you because you're not going to talk to me that way and you're not helping. So I've had some great therapists, but I'm still seeing a therapist now who is he's known me for years. I could walk in the office and just by my body language, he knows. So I always tell people, don't go by race, don't go by gender. Find a therapist that's just good for you. It doesn't matter, because my therapist is a little white Jewish guy who's fat and his hair stands over his head, but he is awesome, and that's who I go to. I also, like I told you, I know what my boundaries are, I know what my triggers are, and you have to learn how to say no sometimes, because people will come at you so much that you have to say, hey guys, I got to take care of my mental health. So that's important to me. I'm not on medication right now, but if I need to, I don't mind taking it. You just have to find the right medication with a mental health condition. But the biggest thing that helps me so much is my working out. I work out 4 times a week. I've read article after article that if you work out, it's one of the best ways to keep your mental health condition in check. So it's like, to me, taking my pill Monday through Thursday, I hit that gym. And I get in there and I get those endorphins going and things like that. So that's what I do. And I also have an adult coloring book. I do. An adult coloring book is awesome. I have 2 with flowers on them, and when your anxiety is high, you sit there and you color, and they're so intricate and so detailed that you can sit there and color and just lose yourself in the color. So I just tell people, whatever works for you, whatever is going to help you to get through the day, that's what you have to do. And as I told you, I love my family, but sometimes when I see that mom calling and I know it's not going to be a good conversation, I'm like, not today. And I don't feel bad because I know how she can trigger and cause a day that is decent or good go straight downhill. So those are my things that I do to take care of myself and stay mentally fit.
So I have to ask everybody, like all of my guests, so how do you feel about journaling?
I think it's great, and as a matter of fact, I ask other people to do it when I'm talking to them about mental health, and I always tell them to do affirmations. When I'm helping people, I tell them, I said, write down the good things about yourself and stick them on your mirror. And it's something how I tell other people to do this, and I don't do it myself. But I do. I tell people, write down the good things about yourself, or if you're struggling over a decision, write it down, the pros and the cons. But I always tell people to keep a journal and write down if you're having a good day. And I always tell people too, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's your depression today? How's your anxiety? Put that down. Write it down. So yeah, I definitely believe in journals. Even though I don't keep one.
I'm like, be truthful with yourself.
Yeah, if you can't be truthful with yourself, who can you be truthful with? So I definitely believe in that.
Now, do you deal with people on a like a private basis, or you just do more, speaking engagements and they come up to you?
Both, because my number is all over Charlotte. When like I was on Patrick Cannon's show twice, and I gave out my personal cell phone, and I always get calls. I just believe in helping people. It doesn't matter if my number's out there. My Facebook page, and I run the NAMI Charlotte Facebook page, I get people all the time asking me for help. Where do I go? Family members, and it really makes me feel good. I've helped people through suicides, making sure that they've gotten the help, and it just always reminds me that this is my purpose and this is my passion. So I do both. I love speaking, but my favorite thing to do is just good old-fashioned advocacy work. Right. Like last week, Logic was here in Charlotte, and it was hot, and I went out to PNC Pavilion, and I gave out 350 learn the warning signs of suicide. Because to me, again, like I keep saying, education is the key. And it was a lot of young people there in that age range, because the second leading cause of death for young people ages 10 to 24 is suicide. For young people 15 to 24, every 95 minutes. For young black males 15 to 24, that's the third leading cause of death. And on college campuses, that's the second leading cause of death. So while they were out there, I said, I'm going to hit them hard. So when I call out those stats, I said, and I asked them, I said, do y'all know what the cause of death is, second leading cause of death for your age? And they were like, smoking and different things. I'm like, no, suicide. And I said, learn these warning signs. So I couldn't believe I gave out about 350 cards. And I did that uptown Charlotte the week prior with a big sign that says suicide. Suicide is preventable. Learn the warning signs, because I truly believe education is the key. And when you educate people, they can understand that we're not crazy, we're not insane. This is a condition of the brain that we can get better from, and we can lead a good life. Because guess what? At the end of the day, mental health condition has no face. And it does not discriminate. Look at all these famous people: The Rock, Michelle Williams with Destiny's Child, Demi Lovato, Mariah Carey. Mental health doesn't care that they're famous.
It doesn't.
And it treats us the same way. It does not say, okay, Fonda, your depression is going to be a little bit different from Michelle Williams because she's famous. It treats us the same way. And that's why I kind of get annoyed with celebrities, that they don't erase that line in the sand and say, okay, we need to work together like we do with cancer and diabetes and things like that. Because only until we do, the suicide rate is going to continue to soar, and the stigma is still going to be there.
And like she said, it's not going to go away. So you just need to talk about it and learn how to deal with it and have aftercare. And we have about 6 minutes. So I want you to give us like some warning signs. You did give us a little bit, but let's do a recap on the warning signs for somebody with mental illness. Okay. And also treatment and aftercare.
Definitely. Well, some of the warning signs for suicide and depression actually are the same. The eating too much, not eating enough. Someone who took pride in their appearance might start looking like they don't care, because that's what I started looking like. Talking about death, isolation. That's one of the biggest things, when somebody starts isolating themselves, giving things away, talking about themselves like they're not going to be here. Those are signs that you need to get help. Them going to get a gun or things like that. So those are the signs right there. And then as far as, what was that you were asking me? Treatment. If you are going through a mental health condition, as I keep telling people, if you had diabetes or heart problems, you go get some help. You got to do the same thing with a mental health condition. You got to go see a therapist, but you also, a lot of people need medication. So I urge you, if you don't have the money, and that's another story for another day, the fact that mental health is, we don't have the resources like physical health, which is ridiculous, but you got the emergency rooms that you can always go to Novant or CMC Behavioral Health and see a psychiatrist, get the medication. You can, we have some great resources here at Crisis Mobile Unit. Cardinal Innovations has a 24-hour number with an assessment, where you can get an assessment and they can get you help. So those are the kind of things you can do. And as far as aftercare, that's something that we're still fussing about, because there are not enough psychiatrists. It's a psychiatrist shortage. And the thing is now, they don't, it used to be where you could go see a psychiatrist, get your medication, and have your therapy. Now they have separated them, where you got to go see a therapist, you got to go see a psychiatrist. So the aftercare is a little bit tricky, but you can always follow up. Whoever the doctor you might see at the emergency room, you can follow back up. You can always follow back up with a therapist. And if you don't have anyone, you can always just go back to that ER. But we still don't have the resources to help people like we should with mental health, and that's scary.
So how about the aftercare after the care? You know, like we talked about the toolbox.
Yes, you got to have a toolbox. And as I always tell people, get an index card and put down, if you go into crisis, who needs those cards, what triggers your mental health condition, and if you're on medication, jot that down too, and give those index cards to people that you trust, that if you do go into a crisis, they will know how to help you and what to do. But also just take care of yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take time off from work, because I have made many days where I've called in for mental health day. I mean, and the thing is, companies still don't understand that, but one of the things I'm hoping down the line that they do, where we can call in just like we would if we had flu or pneumonia or whatever, and say, hey, I'm not having a good day today, I need to take a day off. But you need a good friend, you need that support group from family, and you just need to know yourself to do that self-care. When you feel that depression coming on, go for a walk. Just do something to keep that mental health in check. But I just leave that to the person, where whatever works for them, because it might not work. What works for me might not work for them.
And that's all the way around the board.
Definitely.
What might work for me may not work for you. But sometimes you have to twerk it, but be consistent, because whatever you're doing, it might not work the first time, or it might not work when you think it's going to work. If it don't work that time, don't stop. Just go a different approach.
Definitely.
But just stay consistent, and something is going to work. Something is going to break.
And definitely, and I also will let people know we do have great mental health resources here in Charlotte. Like I said, we got the Crisis Mobile Unit, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We have NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Charlotte, you can go to their website. We have free support groups and free classes. And one of the classes that is our signature program is the Family to Family class, where you can take the class and learn about what your loved one's going through, but also learn how to take care of yourself as a caregiver. We have MHA, Mental Health America, that has a lot of resources and classes. And one of my favorite things, we have police officers that have been trained to help people with mental health issues, called CIT officers, which stands for Crisis Intervention Team. If you're in a crisis or a loved one, you can pick up the phone, 911, and say, hey, would you, this is a mental health call, would you please send a CIT officer? And these officers will come out, they won't take you to jail. You might have to go to a mental health facility, but they're more about de-escalating, because sometimes we just need to talk, and we just need to vent. So we got great resources here in Charlotte. People just need to know where to go and get those resources.
And on that note, that's our show, Ms. Fonda. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
you helped
it.
somebody today.
I hope so. I hope so.
So, y'all, that's our show. I want to thank you for joining us. Join me right here every winning Wednesday on the Wake Up Call Radio and TV network. Because when I say this network is, when I say it's growing, it's growing.
Well, that's awesome.
And then my signature is it's winning.